The Nigerian army wants elements bent on disrupting the nation's democracy to desist, directs its commanders nationwide to remain vigilant. Ahead of the inauguration of the 10th Assembly, the race to wield the gavel in the National Assembly is on. Some ranking members have thrown their hats in the ring, just as the ruling party tells its members to wait for its decision on zoning. Kogi and Bayelsa states are the next destinations in Nigeria's election cycle. In Lokoja, the current occupant of Lugard House would have completed 2 terms, so new tenants are already at the gate to inspect the facilities. We have one of them with us today on Political Update. Good day on a Good Friday. I'm Fisai Ogunfuyi. Welcome. The Defense Headquarters has described the call for interim government as unconstitutional and against the practice of democracy. The Army made its position known at a bi-weekly news conference on current Army operations across the country. Similarly, the Army has directed all its commanders to be vigilant and eliminate threats in their areas of responsibility. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, gave the directive at the closing ceremony of the 2023 First Quarter Chief of Army Staff Conference.
It's not our responsibility to speak on that issue. It is unconstitutional. So anything that is unconstitutional, as far as I'm concerned, it is not applicable.
The crisis rocking the Labour Party took a new turn on Thursday, with some members taking over the affairs of the Secretariat. The group appointed the Deputy National Chairman South, Basir Apapa, as Acting National Chairman, Sali Lawal as National Secretary, Roland Olugbenga Daralola, Acting Treasurer, and Prince Ruben Favor as Acting Organizing Secretary. The National Publicity Secretary, Arabambi Ayobami, and Youth Leader Anslem Eragbi, who had earlier been suspended, were present at the event.
There is no room for vacuum, and therefore this National Working Committee meeting has graciously appointed me as the acting national chairman of the party. Equally, we also reviewed that recently there are some cases of suspensions that were badly handled. And this National Working Committee meeting has reviewed them, and the suspensions all over are hereby reviewed, and the officers affected were reinstated.
Meanwhile, Labour Party chairmen in the 36 states and the FCT have passed the vote of confidence on Julius Abure, describing him as the authentic chairman of the party. Ahead of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, June 23 governorship primary election in Kogi State, party leaders from that state have accused the National Organizing Secretary of the party of working against its collective interest. The stakeholders were the National Secretariat to protest against the Local Government Congress list, as well as alleged attempt to impose an aspirant by the Congress Committee.
We don't have faith in any appeal committee.
Some frontline members of the PDP, led by Farouk Adejo Audu, represented the coalition of PDP stakeholders in Kogi State. Addressing the media after submitting their petition to the National Working Committee, the coalition alleged that the Local Government Congress delegates list has been altered and not a reflection of what transpired in Kogi State.
It is our party that is about to defeat our party in our state, not even the APC, by manipulating the delegates list. I will now believe that even if we go for primaries now, they will try to manipulate the process again so that their preferred candidate will emerge.
The coalition emphasized that they were happy that the party's presidential candidate responded to allegations and criticisms that he is behind the alleged manipulations, and that he has no preferred aspirant in Kogi State governorship race. They, however, appealed to him to go beyond those words, as internal democracy remains a bane of the PDP's progress.
Meanwhile, the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has promised to work with relevant stakeholders to retain its occupancy of the Kogi State Government House. This was during a visit by the party stakeholders from Kogi East.
Leaders of the Audu Faleki APC group from Kogi East met members of the National Working Committee behind closed door. At the end of the meeting, leader of the group, Dangana Ocheja, says, in view of the political dynamics as showcased during the last general elections, the engagement between the party's hierarchy and the stakeholders is to propose a level playing ground for aspirants ahead of the Kogi State governorship primary election.
I know the National Working Committee, they are men of integrity, and they will not do otherwise. They will not like to fail the party, because I'm sorry, if we don't get direct, that means we'll just sit down at home not to go and do anything, because if we don't believe in a cause, you cannot give any support.
Meanwhile, the Agro-Commodities Directorate of the 2023 Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council has called for the review of the 2023 election results in the Southeast.
The mandate of all APC members who won, but were deprived of their victory by irregularity and absolute criminality, must be retrieved. And this, like I said, cut across all members of the party who were robbed of their mandate.
All right, the walk to the Lugard House, which is the Kogi government house, is a steep climb in more ways than one. The undulating hills and the meeting of huge water bodies set what sometimes could be a tempestuous undertaking, with only the toughest lasting the distance. Senator Smart Adeyemi joins us today as a keen navigator with his eyes on the big prize. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure being here.
Getting to Lugard House is no tea party. Are you ready for this race?
Of course I'm ready, I'm prepared. Looking at my antecedents, my track record, my strength of character, I'm sure I'm good enough to govern Kogi State. I'm equipped enough, I'm educated enough, I'm experienced enough, and above all, I have all that it takes, the links, the connections, the experience, the exposure, than any of the other contestants. And I've called them for a debate. Let them come on the live television. Let's face Nigerians. Let us put our track record on before Nigerians. Let us look at who is courageous enough to govern the state. Kogi is a very complex state. You need a man of great strength of character, intelligence, somebody who could be radical when there's need to be radical, somebody who is mature, who is educated, who is enterprising, somebody who has seen the world. My profession as a journalist exposed me to the continents of the world, about 4 or 5 continents. I've visited over 35 countries. So when you talk about human development, when you talk about structural development, when you talk about galvanizing socio-economic development of a people, I don't need to be tutored. I have a track record of it, I've seen it, I've watched it, I've benefited from them. So I'm good enough than any of the aspirants.
Oh, but let's look at the realities in your party. Yeah. You made a bid to return to the Senate earlier in the year. At the primary level, another candidate eventually got it. Some might not be too optimistic based on that, past reality. But as the dynamics, have they changed now?
They have not really changed, but Nigerians are getting to understand that winning the primary election does not really translate to you winning the general election. How come the APC lost in Lagos? So it is not just having the ticket that matters. One of the greatest achievements under this dispensation was the discovery of the beavers technology, which enabled the INEC officials to get to know the man holding the PVC. Okay? After the election in Kogi State, we saw clearly the strength of every central district. My central district is second in strength talking about the electoral weight. That is, when you look at the figure, Kogi West came second. In essence, we are about 25,000 votes ahead of my governor's senatorial district. So in essence, it is not possible for any governor to emerge without another central district supporting him. In essence, wherever you pick the candidate, he picks his deputy elsewhere. So they are good to go. So in essence, you cannot impose a candidate. If you do that, the candidate is going to fail at the end of the day.
Okay, let's come to the realities between now and November.
Yeah.
The way it's looking at the moment, what we're hearing from Kogi State is that there's a push for zoning, which will favor you, for instance, since your own zone has never been at the Lugard House.
Sure.
Are you thinking of capitalizing on this, or has it even been adopted? It's just a discussion, isn't it?
The fact is, you see, what governs the world today is fairness. Fairness governs the world today. And it was on the principle of fairness that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shetima were able to skate through without more stress. If the northern zones, the northern state had said they were going to back a particular candidate, then probably Yahya Dozabelo would probably have emerged, maybe. My governor would probably have emerged. If the northern governors have said, we want Yahya Dozabelo as governor, as president, he probably would have emerged. But the northern governors, in their wisdom, in the Sardauna wisdom, I grew up to know and to read and to have the benefit of Sardauna as Premier of Northern Region, where there's no sentiment of tribe or religion. And that explains why under Sardauna, our father, Chief Sunday Awoni, was the principal private secretary, a Christian, a Yoruba Okun man, to be principal private secretary. That was the chief of staff of Sardauna at that time. Sardauna was a man with a large heart. And that explains those days we say, why not? Now, we can't even say one state. In some states, you can't say one state because of sentiment being promoted at the highest level. Okay? So, in essence, what I'm trying to tell you is that winning the primary election will not determine your winning the general election. Because in my central district, we have not had the benefit of producing a governor for 32 years. We are not slaves, we are not conquered. Only somebody who is not a freeborn of Kogi West will doubt what I'm saying today. It is our turn for peace, stability, and development. And what makes a great leader, and I said this to my governor, I respect Yahya Dozabelo. He's a good man, let me tell you this. And I have nothing against him. I have no regret supporting Yahya Dozabelo. I use an idiom of expression that nobody born of a woman, that is, no human being can ask me not to contest election. I'm not talking about it.
Okay,
but let me just say this. Do you know that in Kogi State today, my people have the opinion that we are not slaves. We are not conquered as a people. So if you want peace, stability, progress of a state, and what makes a great leader is your successor. A great leader is known by the caliber of person who succeeds him. So Yahya Dozabelo will become a new Sardauna if you allow somebody else of a different religion, of a different tribe, or different centrality to succeed him, rather than picking somebody from his village to succeed him.
Okay, let's before we drive to the Lugard House, we must stop at the junction, and that is the processes that will lead to this, eventuality. Yeah. Because perhaps we've jumped 3 questions in your last comments.
Sorry,
but let's what are you going to do differently? For instance, we've seen a lot of us perhaps will be rooting for somebody with journalistic background and all that. But in terms of concrete, in concrete terms, what are you going to do differently apart from my turn concept?
I'm going to reposition Kogi State. Kogi State is a state that is well endowed. We have more than 27 solid minerals of commercial quantity in Kogi State. So I'm going to diversify the economy. I'm going to create wealth. I'm going to create job opportunities. I'm going to ensure that Ajakuta Iron and Steel works. I'm going to ensure that all the social amenities that I require, water, electricity will be available. I will make sure salaries are paid. I'm a union leader. Don't forget I'm happy you are aware we were all in this business of journalism. We have dual responsibility in journalism. Social responsibility and our professional responsibility. They are interwoven and interlocking. And what journalism teaches you is to ensure good governance by way of making sure that the average man is happy with the society. That can only happen when you have a journalist. Not just a journalist. I had the privilege of being the national president. So I know what my colleagues will want me to do. When I speak in the Senate, I don't speak like the other people speak. I speak as a journalist in politics. And I'm not a politician. I am a journalist practicing politics. So when I speak, you should get to understand my background. As a journalist, I am not a politician. I am a journalist in politics. So each time I speak from the background of my training, of my profession as a journalist.
All right, let's make some assumptions that, okay, the state is saying, let's let it come to, the West, Kogi West, I beg your pardon, senatorial district. We have the Okuns and the rest of them there, other tribes there. There are so many people with their hat in the ring. what you are saying is that let people from that zone now be the ones that will be holding the trust. It's just it's not just Senator Smart alone standing.
Yes,
there are other people standing, including Dino Melai.
No, Dino is in
yes,
in
but they are all from that.
Yeah, he's the PDP. Yeah. I don't have business with PDP. Right. I have business with APC. Now, let me tell you, in the APC in Kogi West, I think we are just 3 of us. Myself and one gentleman from Lagos. I've never met him. I saw him on the day he came for screening. And I have the Commissioner of Finance. Now, that has a moral burden for a Commissioner of Finance to want to be governor.
Is this right?
No, well, is right, but I will not go into details. But he has a moral burden to speak to Nigerian people. Why the Commissioner of Finance or any member of that cabinet will want to be governor. I have been one of the loyalists of Yahya Adoza Bello, and I have no regrets. I've been one of his followers. In fact, let me just tell you this. Perhaps without the support of Yahya Adoza Bello, maybe I wouldn't have come back for a third term. Maybe. But Yahya Adoza Bello gave me full support, knowing fully well that I'd be useful to him and to the government and to the people. I was the DG campaign of Yahya Adoza Bello for second term. So it means I had value to add. Okay? That was why I was made the DG campaign. So having said it, let me just tell you that all those who are contesting in Kogi West Central District, I'm standing far high taller than them. If they say no, bring them here. Let us discuss.
Would you let the Kogi, indigenes determine this? You can't just say this and then the Kogi indigenes would have time to do this.
I'm the first person in Kogi State that is running, that is serving third term in the Senate. That speaks volumes. Yes. I'm the first to do 3 terms in the Senate from Kogi West.
Which is just which is as a result of their endorsement.
If I'm not good enough,
you wouldn't be there because you couldn't have been there by yourself. They endorsed you.
If I'm not good enough, they wouldn't endorse me. Kogi State, Kogi West is made of highly educated people. Do you know this story of Nigeria? The first primary school in northern Nigeria was in Kogi State. So we embrace education far more than many states, including some southern states. So in my place, we don't have illiterate in Kogi West.
Okay, let's stay at this confluence.
Even our animals are educated.
Yes, we have gotten to a confluence point because we're in Kogi State. We'll take a story very quickly, and then we'll come back to this discussion. Now, the APC NWC has cautioned National Assembly members selected on its platform to wait for the party's decision on zoning ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. APC Vice Chairman North Saliu Mohammed Lukman says the party's decision is supreme.
After receiving their certificates of return as prospective members of the 10th National Assembly, some members have commenced engagement with stakeholders in the quest for the leadership positions of both the red and green chambers. In view of this development, the National Vice Chairman Northwest of APC, Saliu Mohammed Lukman, has cautioned those already campaigning to avoid unethical conduct and respect the party's rules of engagement.
There are internal discussions going on, and that nobody should jump the gun. Nobody should jump the gun. Inauguration of the National Assembly will only happen, I guess, around 1st or 2nd week of June. So technically, we still have about 2 months. And between now and that period, I have absolute confidence we will do the needful.
But the horse has already bolted because some returning members of the ruling All Progressives Congress have indicated interest in contesting for the position of Speaker House of Representatives in the 10th Assembly. The members, however, agreed to abide by the party's decision on zoning.
Olawi Abdurrahim from Kwara State, a third-term member in the House of Representatives, says he has the experience to lead the Green Chamber in the 10th Assembly.
I've made a lot of consultation beyond the governors, our party leaders. But in a context like this, you don't show your strength to people. This is an election within members. We are all equal.
Also speaking to members of the press corps, Yusuf Adamugagdi from Plateau State and Benjamin Kalu from Abia, both second-term members, said they want to bring more efficiency to legislative business.
Legislative trinity, making laws, oversight, representation. I've done it to the best of my ability. So it's one of my motivations. And I've seen a lot of wrongs in the National Assembly that need to be righted.
It is high time we introduce our capacity to Nigerians, our competence to Nigerians, that 40 years, 4 decades was long enough for us to hold the gavel for the House of Representatives.
All were hopeful that the zoning of the position by the party will be in their favor.
All right, everywhere there's issue of zoning. Let me zone one more question to you before we go. Before you get to, the podium itself, and perhaps if you are lucky, get the, your party's flag. There's the issue of the delegates that will, I think, has that been done? And that's crucial, isn't it?
In Igbo language, they will say, Inukwa, Ikweneme. I don't want to talk about it yet. Delegates will determine who emerges as the flag bearer. As I speak to you, I don't know the delegates. But you know what? They are equally citizens of the state. I wouldn't want the system to push me to a point of campaigning why they must vote for me. In doing that, I may rubbish some people. Okay. I wouldn't want to go into that. But let me say this. Winning the party ticket will not make a candidate to win an election, because Nigerians have come to realize that the party is just a platform. He's the identity, the character, the stuff the man is made of. I'm not going to support a candidate because he's in my party. I will support a candidate that is good for my people and good for my state as a governor. So my people are educated, people are now getting enlightened that the character is the person that we are looking for, not the party. Because I was in PDP before. Now I'm in APC. So it is not the party. The party is just a platform. So if you are basketing on that, the APC may not win the election. And the APC must get this clear, that look for a candidate that will be acceptable on the basis of the principle of fairness. If you impose candidates, you are not going to force our people to vote. Yesterday on channel, I advocated that the man who invented the beavers should be given a National Merit Award, Mr. Uwafo. He should be celebrated because it enables us to control malpractices. How come some governors didn't win the election? How come some governors lost their ambition to be senators? How come we lost as APC? How come we lost some states? It is because the beaver made it impossible to easily rig elections. So if you bring a candidate that's not popular, what's going to happen? I'm not going to talk to my people. They know what to do. For 32 years, Kogi, where we have never had the seat, a person to occupy the Lugard House. We are not slaves. We are not colonized. We are not conquered as a people. So fairness dictates that we should be the next governor. And the God has prepared me for that position. I'm intelligent enough. I'm dynamic enough. I have what it takes to be a good governor. I'm exposed. I'm educated. I'm experienced. What do they need to govern?
All right, thank you very much, Senator Smart. Time is not our friend. You have been not a guest but a co-presenter on this show today.
I'm sorry, I thought I'm the moderator.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. I hope you dropped your NTA ID card at that time. Anyway, thank you very much for being a part of it. Hopefully, time that is the impartial arbiter in all these processes will enable us to speak to you again when the dynamics continue to strengthen or change, and the tide, just like the rivers of Benue and Niger meeting in Lokoja, we meet and everything will go according to plan. That's the program today. Fisal Gumbi is my name, and you've been watching Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest and finest, for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Continue to play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.